Tonight on A Queer Idea, I've got a very special guest with me. I've got Michael Barnett. Michael, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, Michael, you're actually here not to be interviewed because of something that you are, but because of something that you aren't.
Oh.
So, when we have discussions about religion, people say, oh, you've got to talk to Michael Barnett, he's Jewish. But that's not the case?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I have been involved with and currently am a representative of a Jewish social and support organisation, and I grew up with a strong Jewish identity. However, in the last number of years, I've found less need to have a religious identity, and so for me, that isn't as much a part of my life as it used to be.
Okay, so you were brought up with well, I guess we call it Judaism?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, from day one, effectively, and everything that entails onwards. Bar mitzvah, the works.
Okay, see, because now this is, I guess, what I wanted to clarify for myself, because if, let's say, you were brought up Jewish
Yes.
and don't have a Jewish faith now, does that mean you're no longer Jewish? Or, because Judaism seems to be about culture and tradition as well, and race.
Well, it's what you want it to be, really, and in fact, in life, you are what you want to be, and I don't need somebody else to put their labels on me to keep them happy. I am Michael, and I do what I need to do. A lot of things I do in my life are in a Jewish context because I find a strong need to work with Jewish people. For me personally, it's not so important.
Okay, so because I'm well, some people would say a lapsed Catholic. I would say an atheist.
Right.
So, but I still went through some of those things. So, as a Catholic, you do First Communion, and then you do your confirmation. What are some of the ones that you did as a kid?
Well, look, I was brought up going to Jewish day schools and Sunday schools, and I learned to read and write Hebrew. I don't speak it, but I can sort of understand some of it. Had the bar mitzvah at the age of 13.
Now, because what is the bar mitzvah?
Oh, it's a rite of passage within the Jewish religion. Effectively, you become a man in the eyes of the Jewish law, and it's also, that's for boys, and there's a similar ceremony for girls called bat mitzvah, and effectively you become a man. It's like a rite of passage.
And I would assume then the girls become women, not men as well.
Yeah, but having not been through that process, I don't really know much about it.
Oh, like it's the secret ceremony thing?
Well, no, I have a brother, not a sister, so I don't really know much about it.
But don't you go to girls' bat mitzvahs?
I've never been to one in my life.
Ah, fascinating.
No.
Okay.
Well, in fact, the way that, from what I gather, is that boys have individual bar mitzvahs, and sometimes, from what I understand, girls have them in groups. So I can't comment. I've never been to one.
Okay, it sounds like you're making it sound like a secret ceremony. Now, for me, in Christianity growing up, like there's a Christmas and we get the socks and the candy cane.
Right.
Now, tell me about, what's this, I only know about it through shows like The Nanny and South Park. What's a dreidel?
A dreidel is, it's a spinning top. It's a, traditionally, I think, wooden, but it could have been something else, maybe bone, spinning top, which has 4 Hebrew letters on the side. And depending on whether you're inside Israel or outside Israel, it will have different letters.
Oh.
And a great miracle happened here, or a great miracle happened there. It's about the celebration of the miracle that happened where the oil burnt in the temple after it was ransacked, and it lasted a full 8 days instead of 1 day.
Now,
it's a toy, and you get money if it lands on certain letters, apparently.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't get ransacked, then you get money.
It got ransacked.
It got ransacked. Okay. So now, tell me a little bit more about the different types of people who do consider themselves Jewish. Because I mean, you go all the way from, if you go into balaclava, you've got I call them the chocolate cake hat people. And then you've got your secular Jews. Tell me a little bit about the difference there.
Well, the people that you're referring to, who are part of very tight-knit religious communities, extremely tight-knit, very insular religious communities, have these garments that they wear which carried through from Eastern Europe. And they wear them these days as part of their religious attire and their identity. And for them, that's an important part of their culture. Okay. And they live very closed lifestyles, very devout, very religious, and I would say problematic from a queer perspective, because
yes.
There is no homosexuality, no any other sexuality except get married, have kids sexuality. Then through all the various, the rainbow or spectrum of religious belief within the Jewish community, you might go from that extreme end to through orthodox, modern orthodox, perhaps to conservative and progressive, and even almost atheist or secular humanist Judaism.
Okay, so you go from really extreme orthodox, where you've got like the ringlets,
the curly side locks, yes,
all the way through to like relaxed
and chilled.
Relaxed and chilled Jews, which are called secular. Oh,
well,
beautiful.
there's a whole everything. It's very flexible, but from one end, they won't necessarily consider anybody else as typical or correct Jews. So the more at one end you are, the less they believe are real Jews.
Oh, okay, yeah. Everyone thinks that they're the best one of the thing that they are.
Yes.
Now, we've touched now on homosexuality,
yes,
and once we've touched it, we can't let it go. So, let's see, as a Catholic, I used to think that Jesus was my pal, then Jesus was my boyfriend, then I found out that his dad didn't like me, and I went through this whole kind of, over the years, this distancing from the religion. What was that kind of journey for you?
Well, look, I guess growing up, it was about being Jewish and having a Jewish identity for me, and that's kind of all it was, which kind of put me on the outer when I was in a government school and the people around me weren't Jewish, and it kind of made me feel different. And when they all had Christmas and Christmas presents and I didn't, it felt a bit weird. Going through my teens and struggling with sexuality and my identity, it came sort of, my religious identity came up in question with all of that. Actually, earlier, at the point of around when I was starting to perhaps go through puberty, I also started questioning God and religion, back around when I was 10. So these questions were at the back of my mind all the time, and it probably wasn't until I actually was out as a gay man to myself and my family that I started wondering, why am I going to synagogue and sitting in a synagogue paying good money for a seat at the High Holy Days and having them talk about homosexuality being a sin? I don't think that that's a good way to spend my money. And so I stopped going to synagogue then, because I didn't feel that I could do myself any justice hearing that particular perspective.
Okay. Now, if there are young people who are sort of finding themselves possibly in a similar situation, you're part of a support group, I believe?
I coordinate a support group, advocacy social group called Aleph Melbourne.
All right, beautiful, and we'll get those details up on the screen for the people. Look, thank you very much for coming in today and clarifying and demystifying the mystics, I guess.
Gosh, I could go for years on that.
Okay, but we don't have years. So, look, thank you very much for joining us, and that's it for A Queer Idea for tonight. Thanks for joining us.